Բարև ձեզ սիրելի հեռուստատող բարեկամներ, անգամ եւս կողջունեմ ձեզ AMGA հեռուստաընկերության հիմնակար հաղորդաշարով. Dear viewers, you're watching AMGA channel Himnakar show. Himnakar in Armenian means cornerstone because we strongly believe that a healthy family is the cornerstone of healthy society. Today's our show is going to be in English. Usually we are having guests and it's bilingual, sometimes it's Armenian, but today it's going to be in English. There's a reason today that I had to put this program together in order to enlighten to those who have no idea what Armenia is, what Nagorno-Karabakh Republic is. So therefore, I like to give you general information about that. But the main reason that I like to share with you, a few days ago, I was reading two articles on internet, and one was about immigration, and the second was about on July 4th, an Azeri woman and her 2-year-old grandchild were killed as a result of shelling by the Armenian forces. So in Western society, in Western world, Europe and United States, they condemned this atrocity. And therefore, I was trying to put together a sense what is going on in Armenia and neighboring countries. Therefore, first of all, who is an immigrant? Immigrant is a person who forcefully or free willingly will leave his country, his land, to seek freedom, to seek prosperity, and that's why that person immigrates, goes from his own or her own country to another country. And therefore, in the United States, as you well know, except Native Americans, no one is an American because we all came from another country. I understand someone is 10th generation here, someone is only 2 generation here, but it doesn't matter. We came from another country to this great and prosperous land. And I'm not going to go through how we came here and we took over the land from the Native Americans. But today I like to concentrate on this news that on July 4th was all over the news, all over the Western news, and it made a big and all over Europe and United States made a big voice. So therefore, I like to bring to you some very key things that what is Armenian, who is Armenian. So let's start, who is an Armenian? Historically, the name Armenian was first used in neighboring countries of ancient Armenia. The earliest attestation dated back 517 BC when Darius the greatest of Persia, referred Harmenuia as Armenia. And of course, much later, Xenophon, a Greek general serving in some of the Persian expedition, describes many aspects of Armenian village life and hospitality in around 401 BC. He relates that the people spoke language that to his ear sounds like the language of heaven. Armenians call themselves Hai pronounced Hai or Hayer Armenian. The name has traditionally been driven from Haik, the legendary patriarch of the Armenians and a great-great-grandson of Noah, who, according to the Moses of Horan, defeated the Babylonian King Bel in 2492 BC and established his nation in the Ararat region. As you well know, Ararat is the holy mountain of Armenians, where it's a biblical mountain where Ark of Noah rested after 40 days of rain and all destruction in Genesis. So, therefore, Moses of Horen, the important earlier medieval Armenian historian, wrote that the word Armenian originated from the name Armenak or Armen. So, around 95 to 96 BC, the Armenian state extended from Caucasus all the way to its now centered Turkey, Lebanon, North Iran. The imperial reign of Dikran the Great during his time, which Armenia itself conquered countries all the way to today's Israel. Right after that, the Arsakis kingdom of Armenia, itself a branch of the Arsadis dynasty of Parthia of Persia, was the first state to adopt Christianity as its religion in 301 AD. Later on, in order to further strengthen Armenian national identity, Mesrop Mashtots invented the Armenian alphabet in 405 AD. This event ushered the golden age of Armenia, during which many foreign books and manuscripts were translated, the Armenian by Mesrop students. Armenia lost sovereign against the Persians and Byzantine in 428. In 885 AD, the Armenians reestablished themselves as a sovereign kingdom under the leadership of Ashot I of the Bakratinian dynasty. A considerable portion of the Armenian nobility and peasantry fled to Byzantine occupied area around 1045. They settled in large number in Cilicia and Anatolian region, where Armenians were already established as a minority since Roman time. In 1080, they founded an independent Armenian principality, then Kingdom of Cilicia, which became a focus of Armenian nationalism. The Armenians developed close social, cultural, military, and religious ties with nearby Crusader states, but eventually succumbed by the Mamluk invasion in the next few centuries. From the early 16th century, both Western Armenian and Eastern Armenia fell under the Iranian Safavid rule, owing to the century-long Turco-Iranian geopolitical rivalry that would last in Western Asia. Significant part of the region were frequently fought over between the two rivaling empires until the first half of the 19th century. Eastern Armenia was ruled by the successive Iranian Safavid and then Afsharid and then Hajar empires, while Western Armenia remained under the Ottoman rule. In the late 1820s, the parts of the historic Armenia under Iranian control, centering on Yerevan and Lake Sevan, were incorporated into the Russian Empire after its loss in the Russo-Persian War 1826 to 1828 and the outcoming Treaty of Turkmenja. Western Armenian, however, remained in Ottoman hands. The ethnic cleansing of Armenians during the final years of the Ottoman Empire is widely considered a genocide. An estimated 1.5 million victims, with one wave of prosecution in the years of 1894 to 1896 during the Sultan Hamid, the Red Sultan or the Bloody Sultan, and later during the Armenian Genocide 1915 to 1923. With World War I in progress, the Ottoman Empire accused the Christian Armenians as liable to all being Imperial Russia and used it as a pretext to deal with the entire Armenian population as an enemy within their empire. Governments of Republic of Turkey since that time have constantly rejected charges of genocide, typically arguing either that those Armenians who died were simply in the way of war, or that killings of Armenians were justified by their individual or collective support for the enemies of the Ottoman Empire. Passage of legislation in various foreign countries condemning the persecution of Armenians as genocide has often provoked diplomatic conflicts. Following the breakup of the Russian Empire in the aftermath of the World War I, for a brief period from 1918 to 1920, Armenia was an independent republic. In late 1920, the communists came to power following an invasion of Armenia by the Red Army, and in 1922, Armenia became part of the Soviet Union, later forming the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic from 1936 to September 21, 1991. In 1991, Armenia declared independence from the Soviet Union and established the Second Republic of Armenia. Where is Nagorno-Karabakh? What is Nagorno-Karabakh? So the prefix Nagorno-Karabakh derives from the Russian attribute adjective Nagorny, which means highland. The name Karabakh comprises two words, Kara, which means black in Turkic, and Bagh, meaning garden in Persian. In Old Armenian, we had also Bagh. Bagh means gardens. The Armenians living in the area often refer to Nagorno-Karabakh as Artsakh, using the name of the 10th century province of the ancient kingdom of Armenia. Scholars suggest that the Armenians settled in the region as early as in the 7th century BC. In around 100 AD BC, Artsakh became one of the 15 provinces of the Armenian kingdom and remained so until the 4th century. While formerly having status of province, Nahang, Artsakh possibly formed a principality on its own, like Armenia's province of Syunik, today's Southern Armenian Republic. Dikran the Great, king of Armenia, who ruled, as I said before, from 95 to 55 BC, founded in Artsakh one of 4 cities named Dikranagert after himself. The ruins of ancient Dikranagert, located 30 miles northeast of Stepanakert, the capital Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh. In 387 AD, after the partition of the Armenian between Byzantine and the Sassanid Persia, 2 Armenian provinces, Artsakh and Udik, became part of the Sassanid, separate part of Persia. Armenian culture and civilization flourished in the early medieval Nagorno-Karabakh. In the 5th century, the first ever Armenian school was opened on the territory of modern Nagorno-Karabakh at the Amaras Monastery by the efforts of St. Mesrop Mashtots, the person who invented the Armenian alphabet. The 7th century Armenian linguist Stepanos Sunetsi stated in his work that Armenians of Artsakh had their own dialect and encouraged his readers to learn it. Around the mid-7th century, the region was conquered by the invading Muslim Arabs through the Muslim conqueror of Persia. Subsequently, it was ruled by the local governors endorsed by the Caliphate. In 821, the Armenian prince Sambatyan revolted in Artsakh and established the House of Khachen, which ruled Artsakh as a principality until the early 19th century. The name Khachen originated from Armenian word khach, which means cross. In the 15th century, the territory of Karabakh was part of the state ruled subsequently by the Karakoyunlu and Akakoyunlu Turkic tribe. the Turkoman Lord Jahan Shah assigned the governorship upon Karabakh to local Armenian princes, allowing a native Armenian leadership to emerge consisting of 5 noble families. Their land were often referred to as the country of Khamsa. Khamsa in Arabic means 5. The Russian Empire recognized the sovereign status of the 5 principalities in their domain by the charter of the Emperor Paul I, dated June 2nd, 1799. So the presence of Armenians in Karabakh dated all the way through the centuries. The present-day conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh has its roots in the decisions made by Joseph Stalin and the Caucasian Bureau during the Sovietization of Caucasus. Stalin was the acting commissioner nationalized of the Soviet Union during the 1920s. The branch of the government he himself divided and conquered. After the Russian Revolution 1917, Karabakh became part of the Transcaucasus Democratic Federative Republic, but this soon dissolved into separate Armenian, Azerbaijani, and Georgian states. Over the next 2 years, between 1918 and 20, as I mentioned before, there were a series of short wars between Armenia and Azerbaijan over several regions, including Karabakh. In July 1918, the First Armenian Assembly of Nagorno-Karabakh declared the region self-governing and created a national council and government. In February 1920, the Karabakh National Council preliminarily agreed to Azerbaijani jurisdiction, while Armenians elsewhere in Karabakh continued guerrilla fighting, never accepting the agreement. The agreement itself was soon annulled by the 9th Karabakh Assembly, which declared union with Armenia in April of 1920. In April 1920, while the Azerbaijani army was locked in the Karabakh fighting local Armenian forces, Azerbaijan was taken over by Bolsheviks. On 10 August 1920, independent Armenia signed a preliminary agreement with Bolsheviks, agreeing to a temporary Bolshevik occupation of these areas until final settlement would be reached. But sadly, in 1921, Armenia and Georgia were also taken over by the Bolsheviks, so in order to attract public support, promised they would allow Karabakh to Armenia, along with Nakhichevan and Zangezur. However, the Soviet Union also had far-reaching plans concerning Turkey, hoping that it would, with a little help from them, develop along communistic line. And therefore, as a result, the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast, which is autonomous region, was established within the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic on July 7, 1923. With the beginning of the dissolution of the Soviet Union in the late 1980s and early 1990s, the question of Nagorno-Karabakh re-emerged, accusing the Azerbaijani Socialist Soviet Republic government of conducting forced Azerification of the region. The majority Armenian population started a movement to have the autonomous oblast transferred to the Armenian Republic. In August 1987, Karabakh Armenians sent a petition for union with Armenia with tens of thousands of signatures to Moscow. War and secession. On February 13, 1988, Karabakh Armenians began demonstrating in their capital Stepanakert in favor of unification with the Armenian Republic. 6 days later, they were joined by mass march in Yerevan. On February 20th, the Soviet of People's Deputies in Karabakh voted 110 to 17 to request the transfer of region to Armenia. This unprecedented action by a regional Soviet brought out tens of thousands of demonstrants both in Stepanakert and Yerevan, but Moscow rejected the Armenians' demands. On 22nd February 1988, the first direct confrontation of conflict occurred as large of group of Azeris marched from Agdam against Armenian population toward in Baku and elsewhere. In the confrontation between the Azeris and the police near Askeran degraded into the Askeran clash, which left many Azeris dead and many civil Armenians dead. 50 Armenian villagers were, as well as 50 Armenian villagers were killed. In 1989, Nagorno-Karabakh had population of 192,000. The population at that time was 76% Armenians, 23% Azeris, with Russians and Kurdish minorities. On November 26, 1991, Azerbaijan abolished the statute of Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Place, rearranging that the administrative division and bringing the territory under direct control of Baku, Azerbaijan. But on 10 December 1991, in a referendum boycotted by the local Azerbaijanis, Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh approved the creation of independent state. The struggle over Nagorno-Karabakh escalated after both Armenia and Azerbaijan attained independence from Soviet Union in 1991. In post-Soviet power vacuum, military action between Azerbaijan and Armenia was heavily influenced by the Russian military. By the end of 1993, the conflict had caused thousands of casualties and created hundreds of thousands of refugees on both sides. By May 1994, the Armenians were in control of Karabakh. At that stage, for the first time during the conflict, the Azerbaijani government recognized Nagorno-Karabakh as the third party in the war and started direct negotiation with the Karabakh authorities. As a result, a ceasefire was reached, and May 12, 1994, through Russian negotiation, a ceasefire was signed. But clashes occurred in years following after 1994. In 2008, in Mardagert, on March 4th, Armenian had an election, and therefore Azeris forced over the dispute of region Nagorno-Karabakh and killed more than 86 people. 2010, February, Nagorno-Karabakh was scared exchange of gunfire that took place on February 18 on the line of contact dividing Azerbaijan and the Karabakh Armenian military forces. It took place across the line of contact dividing Azerbaijan and ethnic Armenian military forces of the unrecognized but de facto independent Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. Both sides accused of violating the ceasefire, but in this case, 74 Armenian soldiers were killed from Azerbaijani snipers. In late April 2011, border clashes left 3 Nagorno-Karabakh soldiers dead, while on October 5, 2011, 3 Armenian soldiers were killed. In all during the year, 10 Armenian soldiers were killed. The following year, border clashes between the armed forces of Armenia and Azerbaijan took place from late April to early June. The clashes resulted in the death of 5 Azerbaijanis and 14 Armenian soldiers. In all, during 2012, 19 Azerbaijanis and 14 Armenian soldiers were killed. Throughout 2013, 7 Armenian soldiers were killed in the border clashes. 2004, several border clashes erupted and had resulted in 16 fatalities of Armenian soldiers. By August 5, 2014, the fighting that started on July 27 left 14 Armenian soldiers dead. And when I say soldiers, I mean 18, 19-year-old kids. On November 12, 2014, the Azerbaijani armed forces shot down a Nagorno-Karabakh Defense Army Mi-24 helicopter over Karabakh's Agdam district. 3 servicemen were killed in the incident. Armenian Defense Ministry stated that aircraft was unarmed and called its downing an unprecedented provocation. Azerbaijani authorities claimed the helicopter was trying to attack. In this, 34 fatalities was done, which 6 Armenian civilians also died in 1914. Civilians, 4 children, and 2 adults, women. 2015, 42 Armenian soldiers and 5 civilians were killed as border clashes continues. 2016, which we call it 4-day war from April 1st to April 4. Everybody thought it's an April Fool's Day, but no, Azerbaijanis, over the years, Azerbaijani had been growing impatient with the status quo in this regard. Probable by oil and gas findfall, the country embarked in a military buildup. In 2015 alone, Baku spent $3 billion on its military, more than Armenia's entire national budget. Throughout January and February 2016, 4 Armenian soldiers were killed in fighting at the Nagorno-Karabakh border. The first casualty of 2016 was a Nagorno-Karabakh soldier, Aramais Voskanyan, who was killed by Azerbaijani sniper fire while serving in the eastern direction of the line of contact. He was only 19 years old. In mid-February, Hagop Hampartsumian, an Armenian herdsman from Vaskeshen, was killed by an Azerbaijani sniper, 20 years old. Between 1 and 5 April 2016, heavy fighting along the Nagorno-Karabakh front line left 201 Armenian soldiers, 1 Armenian and 3 Azerbaijani civilians. The child was 9 years old. 10 civilians from other villages were also killed. During the clashes, an Azerbaijani military helicopter, 13 unmanned drones were shot down, and an Azerbaijani tank was destroyed. 2017, a Nagorno-Karabakh soldier was killed in action with Azerbaijani forces on February 6, 2017. The soldier was 17-year-old. On 8 February 2017, 1 Nagorno-Karabakh soldier was killed and another wounded in firefight with Azerbaijani troops along the line of contact. Both were 18 years old. On 24 February 2017, Azerbaijani forces shelled the Armenian position near the village of Talish with artillery and killed 3 soldiers. On May 15, 2017, a Karabakh air defense system was damaged or destroyed by the guided missile launched by Azerbaijani forces. 2 soldiers, Armenian soldiers, were dead. On May 20, 2017, an Armenian soldier was killed in a firefight with Azeri troops. The Azerbaijani military utilized anti-tank grenades and 60mm mortar fire in the action. On May 26, 2017, a Nagorno-Karabakh soldier was killed in a scheme of Azerbaijani forces involving mortars and grenade launches. On June 16, 2017, 3 Nagorno-Karabakh soldiers were killed by Azeri forces. On July 4th, an Azeri woman and her 2-year-old grandchild were killed as a result of shelling by Armenian forces. On July 7, several Armenian soldiers were killed by Azerbaijani forces. On July 10, 2017, a Nagorno-Karabakh soldier was killed in shelling by the Azerbaijani forces. So, I do not wish that no Armenians or Azerbaijanis or Turks or anybody in this world will die. But I do not like when the Western world, because of the oil and special interest with Azerbaijan, will take side and say that it was a woman and a 2-year-old grandchild was killed, but will ignore all other killing soldiers who are protecting their land. And because of the 1994 ceasefire, the only thing people want to have a free land where they can live peacefully. Therefore, it's a shame that when Western world will take side just because they have oil, they have gas, they have a military, their country is a very important military strategical point, and we need that. Please, let's all come together. All, when I say all, everybody. When I was attending kindergarten classes, when my daughter was singing a very beautiful song. I did not grow up here in the United States. Therefore, I was not familiar with all those songs that children sing in the schools. And this beautiful song was, "This is my land, this is your land," from California to the Rhode Island. So please, my dear friends, let's all come together and work for peace. One day I wish to wake up and see that no one in this world is fighting and killing someone else because of their personal special interest. Go back in the history. You're going to see that all this killing, all the nonsense killing, was based on not ideology, but it was based on personal gain. I'm not going to go in detail and explain to you why in Europe, 30 years, a Catholic could kill a Protestant and a Protestant could kill a Catholic just because they could. 100-year war between France and England, which is actually, it was more than 100 years. If you go and Google, you're going to see it's specifically 116 years. And believe it or not, both sides killed innocent children, women, elderly, in the name of what? In the name of their personal greed. And this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, dear viewers. I am really touched when everybody was talking about this lady that on July 7, 2017 was killed with her grandchild. My sincere, honestly, I personally am not going to go ahead and say that this was good. No killing is justified. No killing is justified. My sincere sympathy goes to her family and to poor child's family. They lost a mother, a sister, a wife, and a grandchild, a child. But please, please, I urge you to look broad, and no war is justified. So if we are not approving this woman's death and this child's death, please also let's not approve the killings that every day occurs on the border side. Those soldiers, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old soldiers, yes, they are soldiers. Yes, they have uniforms. Yes, they are armed. But they are someone's sons, someone's brother, someone's husband. So therefore, please, let's not justify any war in this world. Please, let's come together and come up with a solution and stop killing each other. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, this is how I like to finish a biblical where Jesus was saying, blessed those who are peacemaker, because they are gonna conquer the earth. Bless those who are peacemaker. Շնորհակալություն սիրելի հեռուստադիտող բարեկամներ, մենք այսպեսով կավարտենք մեր այսօրվա ելույթը, կցանկանանք ցեզի բոլորիդ բարի աշխատանք, բարի կյանք եւ մեր մայր հայրենիքին պայծառ երկինք եւ կանաչ ճանապարհ։ Բարի գիշեր։ Ցտեսություն։